Hey there, Cinemaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. Our movie today begins with two sisters named Ginger and Brigitte. We see them riding a horse together through the forest. The weather is freezing and snow covers the entire area. After a while, the horse becomes scared due to the excessive snow on the ground and refuses to move. They are forced to dismount and continue the rest of the way on foot. They notice strange symbols hanging on the trees. Suddenly, they come across a cabin filled with blood and completely destroyed. An elderly woman from the area's indigenous people appears. She tells them their sister passed through here many years ago. She gives each of them a leather necklace with a small cow skull. Since they don't understand her words entirely, they accept the gift silently. The woman tries to warn them about a prophecy involving them, but they still can't fully grasp her meaning. The horse grows more agitated as if sensing danger, then runs away, leaving them behind. When they try to chase after it, Brigitte falls into a trap and injures her leg. She screams in pain, calling for Ginger to seek help from the old woman. Ginger runs back to the cabin but hears a wolf's howl nearby, becoming more anxious and worried for her sister. She rushes back to Brigitte, only to find the wolf approaching her sister, preparing to attack. Suddenly, a young man named Hunter appears, calling the wolf by name as if he knows it well. Strangely, the wolf obeys him and backs away. Ginger arrives at that moment and hits Hunter on the head with a piece of wood. Hunter, showing strength and intelligence, quickly calms the situation. He ties Ginger up with a rope, immobilizing her, then helps Brigitte by freeing her leg from the trap and applying medicine to her wound. Afterward, he unties Ginger, calls his wolf, and walks away. He then stops and asks the girls to follow him for their safety. He leads them to a large fortress, guarded by a man named Claude. They notice the gates are marked with a large cross and bloodstains everywhere. It becomes evident that some wild creature is trying to break into the fortress. A man named Carmack opens the gate for them and helps them inside. They are shocked to find numerous graves and several indigenous locals inside. A man named James confronts Carmack harshly for letting them in without permission. Hunter intervenes, asking James to calm down until they understand what happened. Brigitte shows them her injured leg and explains how she fell into a trap. The priest, Gilbert, views them as a danger and insists they must leave immediately. However, Dr. Murphy insists on treating Brigitte before any decisions are made. A man named Roland introduces himself and invites them to join them for dinner that evening to rest. Ginger tries to ask Dr. Murphy about the deaths outside, but he avoids the question and changes the subject. Later, a young man named Fee takes them to a room to rest, explaining it belonged to Roland's son, Jeffrey, who died, leaving the room vacant. He gives them some clothes to change into. At dinner, Priest Gilbert says a prayer before they begin eating, asking everyone to repeat after him. Murphy reminds them that their food supplies are running out, and soon there will be nothing left to eat. At that moment, Hunter enters, placing a piece of wolf he hunted on the table, and begins eating with them. Tension rises between Hunter and James, leading to an argument that escalates into a physical fight. Gilbert sees the situation as dangerous and insists they abandon the fortress immediately. Roland refuses and insists they stay until the end. Suddenly, everyone hears a loud sound coming from deep within the forest, filling them with fear and anxiety. They instruct Ginger and Brigitte to return to their room immediately. Gilbert follows them, warning them of a demon outside, urging them to lock the door and not leave the room under any circumstances. As Ginger sleeps, she begins having nightmares and wakes up startled. She decides to fetch water and hears a sound, following it to investigate. To her shock, she finds a small boy hiding in the darkness. When he looks at her, she sees his deformed face and strange appearance. He attacks her, trying to bite her, causing her to scream. The following morning, Brigitte wakes up to find Ginger's neck covered in blood, indicating she was bitten. Ginger insists they leave immediately. They take swords hanging on the wall for protection. At the gate, they try to remove the barricades when James appears, hitting Ginger until she falls to the ground. He throws Brigitte beside her, trying to stop them. Determined, Ginger stands up to him. Before he can approach her again, Brigitte grabs a rifle and threatens him with it. Suddenly, the same sound echoes outside the gate, indicating something is trying to break in. James believes them and calls for help. Others rush to reinforce the gate, but one of them gets bitten before they manage to close it again. Taking advantage of the commotion, the sisters run back inside. Gilbert confronts them, claiming the creature is a demon trying to possess them all. He locks the sisters in a cabin, unaware he is delivering them to the monster himself. They hear the creature's sound and run, hiding in a room and locking the door. The monster tries breaking in until the wooden door collapses. Ginger stands her ground, attacking it until it dies. She discovers that Hunter killed the creature, saving their lives for the second time. He takes them outside. Roland speaks with them, and Ginger tells him everything Gilbert did. A guard rushes in, reporting a large number of creatures outside the gate. Roland orders the sisters to return to their room and lock themselves in. Hunter speaks to Brigitte in the native language, saying black and red. Brigitte notices Ginger bleeding from her nose, so she quickly takes her to their room. They hear gunshots and creatures surrounding them. The next morning, Ginger wakes up to find her sister missing, and she starts searching for her outside, and suddenly Hunter appears in front of her. He sees the wound on her neck, applies some medicine he has with him, and she begins to see it as a hallucination. It turns out to be just a dream, and she was still asleep. She finds her sister lying next to her, and nothing had happened. Her sister is shocked to see the wound bleeding and her covered in blood. She insists on taking her to Dr. Murphy. On their way, they see the monster that died the night before, being taken away to dispose of its body. They find Finn sitting in the clinic, cutting up some things with strange red stains on them, and his face is also covered in blood. When Murphy sees him, he is startled and asks if he was bitten during the night. Finn denies it, insisting he is fine. Murphy pressures and threatens him to ensure the truth, and it turns out he's right. A strange creature emerges from Finn's body, confirming that he was bitten and transformed. Unfortunately, Murphy is forced to shoot him and end his life. When the girls witness everything that happened, they realize they are in danger. They retract their statements and refuse to reveal why they came. Murphy takes them outside and finds another massive monster corpse on the ground. He explains to someone named Seamus that anyone bitten gradually transforms into these creatures, eventually looking like this. The shocking part is that the monster lying on the ground was the brother of Claude, the person standing next to him. Claude is deeply affected by his brother's death and what happened to him. Seamus takes an eye from the corpse to keep as a memento. They try to figure out what to do next, leading to disagreements among everyone. Roland intervenes, encouraging them to stay strong and fight to the end. The girls return to their room, and Ginger realizes that the little boy who bit her is Roland's son. He had been bitten and started transforming, which explains his terrifying appearance. Meanwhile, Roland brings some food to his son and tries to check on him, only to be shocked when he discovers he has escaped. Later, Claude talks to Ginger, revealing that if the creature that bit her dies before the full moon, she won't transform and will return to normal, eliminating any danger to her life. Gilbert and his companions try to deal with the new corpses and pray over them. During this time, Ginger's condition worsens, and Brigitte tries to help and care for her as best as she can. Suddenly, she sees Jeffrey appearing normal in front of her, trying to talk to her. As soon as Brigitte arrives, he disappears again. Ginger runs after him, trying to catch up, only to realize it was all just a dream. The people in the fort gather to burn the monster's corpses that they had killed over the past few days. Claude places a monster's head on a stake in front of the gates as a warning to the other creatures. Brigitte stays by her sister's side all night, unsure of what to do as her condition worsens. Ginger starts developing fur on her body, and her wound almost completely heals and disappears. Roland enters the kitchen and tells Brigitte he knows what happened with Ginger, that she left the room door open, and his son escaped. Strangely, he doesn't argue or blame her. Instead, he gives her her sister's necklace and leaves. Ginger sleeps in the dark and suddenly finds the boy in front of her again. He quietly climbs onto her bed, and as he gets closer, she screams. He gets scared and quickly hides. Brigitte rushes into the room, and the boy runs out as soon as he sees her. Meanwhile, Seamus hears loud noises outside and goes to check. Jeffrey attacks him, throws him to the ground, and bites him. After a while, everyone notices Seamus is missing and starts searching for him. They eventually find him lying on the ground, dead, holding a strand of Ginger's hair. Naturally, everyone assumes Ginger is responsible. They storm into the room and forcibly take her. James grabs her, threatening and hitting her. A young boy named Milo sees this and runs to inform Roland about what happened. Brigitte tries to defend her sister but is violently struck as well. Roland intervenes, ordering James to leave immediately. He takes Ginger to the clinic for the doctor to examine her. Murphy prepares to conduct an experiment on her to confirm whether she has transformed. Roland bursts in, shoots Murphy, threatens the others and orders them to leave her alone. When Ginger returns to the room, she explains that she must kill Jeffrey to protect herself. She takes a weapon, locks the door to keep her sister inside, and leaves. Outside, she sees Claude and James holding Milo against his will and throwing him outside the gate. She finds Jeffrey sitting beside his mother's grave, holding her hands. As she approaches him to kill him, she hesitates and feels guilty. Carmack sees her from a distance and tries to shoot her, but the bullet misses. She takes advantage of the moment to escape with Jeffrey. Hunter enters Brigitte's room and explains that he saw her in a dream and must protect her. He offers to take her to a safe place, but she refuses. Unfortunately, he is forced to kill him himself instead of burning and torturing him. The boy falls into the well and Ginger feels guilty, believing it's her fault he died. She becomes deeply upset, and Brigitte takes her away, escaping the fort through a hole in the wall. They decide to walk through the forest, hoping to find a safe place. Meanwhile, the remaining men try to retrieve Jeffrey's body from the well. After some time, the girls encounter Milo, who offers to take them to the cave where Hunter resides. Suddenly, monsters appear around them and start chasing them. Milo dies in a horrific manner, leaving Brigitte devastated when she sees his corpse. The shocking revelation comes when Ginger admits she was the one who killed him, meaning the curse is still active and she is transforming. They walk together for a while until they find Hunter's cave, where they encounter the old woman they had seen before. She tells them it's too late and reminds them she had warned them earlier. She advises Ginger to kill the boy because he's still alive. Hunter and his wolf arrive, and they all sit down to eat together. The old woman offers Brigitte and Hunter something to drink, allowing them to see what will happen. In the vision, Brigitte finds herself in the snow, holding a knife. She wanders around and sees the woman's body lying on the ground, covered in blood. She eventually reaches the fort and sees a massive werewolf trapped in a snare. Upon closer inspection, she realizes it's her sister, Ginger. When Hunter tries to kill her sister, she rushes to stop him and kills him with the knife she has. In the end, it turns out she killed her sister. Hunter disappears, and Brigitte wakes up from her vision. She is horrified to find the woman killed in the same way she saw in her vision. Hunter tells her that Ginger killed the woman and escaped. He recounts what he saw in his vision, that he died and sacrificed his life to protect her. He insists she must kill Ginger because she is no longer human and could harm others as she did earlier. They go together to the fort, waiting for her to arrive, and the shocking twist is that the core is handed over to the buffalo. After a few hours, Hunter remains standing in front of the gate while she is locked in a room. They lock her in, and Gilbert enters to offer her a deal for everything she has done so he can help her. But Brigitte refuses, insults him, and tells him she saw everything in her dream and that they are not good people. Gilbert becomes very angry, drags her outside, throws her to the ground, and tells everyone that she is a witch. Ginger approaches the gate and knocks. They open it for her. At the same time, Gilbert prepares to burn Brigitte alive. Suddenly, Hunter is struck by an arrow in the arm, preventing him from harming her. Cormac and James stand in front of Ginger, attacking and beating her until they throw her to the ground as well. They ask Roland to burn both of them, but he refuses, and instead burns Gilbert. He then stabs the other man with his sword. Ginger tries to escape through the gate by any means. James approaches her, mocking her, but she seizes the opportunity to cut his throat. He bleeds profusely, screaming in pain. She gets up, opens the gate, and helps all the monsters enter the fortress with ease. Cormac and Claude try to escape to any place, but this time, there is no escape from death. Hunter stands, shooting as many monsters as he can with his arrows, trying to protect himself as best as he can. He manages to save Roland just in time, protecting him from a monster trying to attack him. Unfortunately, Roland also gets bitten. He stands up, frees Brigitte, and tries to help her. Hunter continues his battle against the monsters, killing many of them. Roland goes inside and sets the entire place on fire. After a while, another monster attacks Hunter, biting his arm, but Hunter eventually kills it. Roland climbs to the second floor, grabs his weapon, and takes his own life before he can turn into a monster like the others. Outside, Brigitte walks with torches in hand, surrounded by the corpses of monsters everywhere. She searches for her sister and finds Hunter sitting on the ground in terrible condition. He hands her a knife, asking her to kill Ginger because he is dying and can no longer protect her. Brigitte refuses to kill her sister. Instead, she takes the knife and kills him. She runs to her sister, embraces her, and tells her she will stay with her until the end. She takes her and escapes outside the fortress, locking the gate securely behind them. They watch the fortress burn entirely with everything inside. In the final scene, the two sit together as Ginger begins to transform. Brigitte chooses to transform with her and live together forever rather than kill her and live alone. And thus ends the events of our film today. Stay tuned for more videos and summaries. Goodbye!